What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon Kindle and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled The Latchkey Kid Generation. You know, back in the day, when I was coming up, there was a lot of latchkey kids. I was a latchkey kid. I was raised with my grandparents, but at the same time, when I was with my actual parents, I was a latchkey kid, and they'll tell you that to this day. And I didn't think about this. When we're talking about wanting the community wanting more protectors and providers, and the community wanting more family-oriented people, and community wanting more feminine women, and one thing that we leave out of that is we're talking about probably a majority of latchkey kids. I remember Floyd Mayweather on a 24/7 All Access when he was fighting Victor Ortiz. And Victor Ortiz, when I was coming up, we ran the streets and we were homeless, and he was making fun of Victor like that. He's like, man, don't nobody want to hear all that. Every black kid raised themselves. We all came up like that. Now somebody's supposed to feel sorry for you. And it was a funny moment of him making fun of him / real moment, and a / moment that people couldn't disrespect Floyd for saying, because it was like, kind of got a point. You want everybody to tug on your heartstrings, but his story is just like yours, and that's the normal stories of kids like him. And I don't think we take into consideration that we're asking latchkey kids who had to teach themselves how to be adults to be things that they weren't taught to be, that they weren't groomed to be, that they weren't. So, if you're a smart kid, if you were a smart kid and you're a smart adult, your learning curve moves faster than most people, because you had to learn faster than most people about the nuances of society. But we were kids. So, people seem to forget that a lot of us who went to college, like myself, we really didn't have somebody guide us along on which path to go on college, and why, and what would be the best use. This is why, to this day, one of the things about everybody can have a degree, but the degree may be useless because you was a latchkey kid. You got a degree in something that interests you, but even if it was a good field, you might not even know how to break into it. Thus the argument, well, I need experience, and I don't have experience, and how am I going to get experience if I can't get hired? They never told us about interning. You know what I'm saying? Financially, we're a latchkey kid generation because some of us come from families where, we might be first generation of the middle class, or we might not necessarily, we might be an offshoot of that. What I mean by that is my grandparents were middle class, right? My parents dipped down, and then I went up to the middle class. So I saw what middle class life was, but I lived part of it, and I lived lower class, and then I worked my way into middle class. So I think you do have this, generational up and down, because you don't have growth. This is part of the reason why I know, even in my family, we had opportunities to inherit things, and they just blew it because they were so accustomed to, quote unquote, mama and daddy taking care of everything. By the time they were adults, when mama and daddy died, they just thought it was mama and daddy's money to just do what they was doing when they was kids. I'm going to blow it on some grown toys. Oh, Jesus going to take care of you, baby. Your mama and daddy took care of me, and now it's your turn, and you telling me Jesus going to take care of me. But I understood that because I took care of me when I was with them. With my parents. It's like, I know y'all niggas ain't gonna do shit. I mean, the club about to open. You want to drink. You want to smoke. You want to party. You want to go have sex. I'm as long as I'll be alive. By the time you get back, it's all good. That type of thing. Part of the reason why, you see these kids we were destructive when we were destructive or angry. Part of that is because we was a latchkey kid generation. You didn't know how to burn that anger off. I played sports as a way. To get it out of my system. Other people was in the streets. You know, so it's a latchkey kid generation and then people, well, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? It's because they had no direction. Like you're a kid directing yourself, and you're not. And sometimes you make good moves, and sometimes you don't. You know. The other thing about that is that latchkey generation is part of the reason why you hear people talk about the community, like, I ain't helping it, or you need to come back and help it, because some latchkey kids, the community helped. Some latchkey kids, the community just left the film for themselves. So, with some people, there's a connection to the neighborhood, and with others, there isn't. You know, you know, and that's just the way it is. Um, Even as far as skills, there weren't guys who I could learn how to fix cars from. I had to figure that out on my own. I learned. I had a pseudo granddad in Louisiana, who showed me a thing or two, but because I was a fast learner, I picked up, okay, this go to this, go to this, go to this. Because once you start looking at stuff, you can be hands on. Like, okay, I get it. This is this, and I began to do things on my own. You know, and that knowledge came in handy. And when a car break down on the road and it cause a traffic jam, I can get out of that car my doggone self if it stopped and fix the car and get moving. And I've done that. I've done that in my past. I did that. I did that a lot in college because my car was a hoopty, rolling, tailpipe dragging. But latchkey kids, this is why, as part of the drug culture, I know how to, drugs was kind of one of the easiest things to do to make money. Really, well, not kind of was. Drugs sell themselves. Drug addicts want drugs. It's not a big deal. It's not like, put it in a bag, stand outside, they'll come get you. But the police will come get you too. But that's the thing about not having a skill. Like, nobody told us, about the industries that as adults we now know of. This is why you got people who are grown, and you're like, why are you getting an education now? Because some of them wasted their youth being latchkey kids and was just in it making money on taking care of themselves or surviving, or just being young, reckless, and wild. And now they realize they're far behind in life, or now they realize they have a purpose or a calling, and now they're chasing it now. But once again, they're late bloomers or super late bloomers. So we got a latchkey kid generation out here. And we make the jokes, mama 20, grandmama 38, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. Because it's a lot of times latchkey kids are the ones who are able to go do whatever they want because they felt they was grown, and kids came into the mix. The other thing, and another thing, no. I don't think people notice, like, we don't talk about the impulsive spending that comes from being a latchkey kid. Because when I look out in the world and I look at on social media, right, a lot of things that people are doing that are my age and up, like, I'm in my late 30s. It's a lot of impulsive, retroactive spending from childhood dreams and aspirations now that you got the money. Like, we don't have a midlife crisis, but we have somewhat of latchkey kid life crisis. I wish that, I couldn't do that then, so I'm gonna do it now. You know, we never asked about the gamer generation of grown men playing games, who some of us love video games, but one of the reasons we're so into them is because we weren't the kid who could own them. You know what I'm saying? Like we had to go over our friend's house and play. We couldn't have one in our house. We couldn't afford it. You know, a lot of us forget about. A lot of us were the kid who always goes over friend's house doing this, that, and the third, and then we became adults. Now, a lot of us forget we were the kids who had nothing to do playing "That's My Car" in the street, right? And I think that checks our spending, and plus this gets us behind in things like this is why we're behind in things like credit, because we came from a generation where our parents used to put our names on the leases and stuff. We used to have jacked up credit before we was right when we became adults legally, like 18. I never. What do you mean? I never left an apartment complex. I didn't know what. I've had those calls. Sir, you owe such and such and such and such, such and such, such and such, such and such, such and such. Like what? Your name, blah 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 blah. I was like, what? Do you know how old I was? I'm gonna give you my birthday. You were 8 years old then. Yeah. So how the hell are you calling me for a debt from 20 years ago when I was 8 years old? No. But financially speaking, we didn't know credit. We didn't know interest. These are things we found out as adults, and I think that's part of being Latchkey Kid Generation. We didn't know when we were overpaying for something. We didn't know legality if we got in trouble or we got blamed for something we couldn't prove that we didn't do. So these are the people you want to protect and provide. And same thing with the women. Like some of them didn't know how to be women because they were too busy doing other stuff. I can't speak for them, but I kind of get it to a degree. Because when you're a latchkey kid, things in life that seem normal when we become adults that we should know aren't, because we had other things that we had to do to get by, or our attention was somewhere else because it was always a struggle. So sometimes when you're stuck in a struggle, you never really get a chance to grow or grow properly. So I forgot about addressing that, but the generation that we want to fix everything right now is a generation of people that were latchkey kids, and life ain't fair. So I don't care if it's not fair, but I will say it's gonna be a lot. It might be a lot of hit and miss in this. So we out, yo. Peace.